Hello people, as you saw in the title, today I am going to be drawing my OC in different art styles. I've been wanting to draw my OCs more, and I've also been wanting to try out more art styles, so I thought that this would be a good way to do both. I am going to be drawing in 4 different art styles today. First, I'll draw in my art style while explaining some of the backstory of my OC. Then I'll draw in the style of Vickers, Lavendertowne, and Nirami. These are all artists that I really look up to, so I wanted to take a jab at their art styles. So first, as I said, I'm going to be drawing my OC in my art style. So the OC that I'm drawing is named Mara, and she's in her early to mid 20s. One of her most prominent features are her bandages that cover the entire left side of her face and some of her body. The story behind this is that she was in a relationship with some guy and they lived together, and they were in a pretty serious relationship for around 1.5 years until they started having issues. Said issue being that Mara found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her in their own home. So she was a tiny bit agitated that her boyfriend of over 1 year was cheating on her. So she decided that the best and most reasonable course of action was to burn the entire house to the ground with her boyfriend, the other girl, and herself in it. Luckily, nobody died, but Mara was seriously injured, hence the bandages and stuff. And she was accused of starting the fire, but she called her sister, named Marcia, who she hadn't talked to in years, but who's also a lawyer, and she managed to get Mara out of trouble. It was probably using bribery, to be honest. So then Mara went to live with her sister, who's mega rich, lawyer and stuff. So that's most of her basic backstory. It's a little crazy, and she's definitely not really like a good person or anything exactly. She struggles a lot with depression, and she has just a lot going on with her mental health. I'm probably gonna make a video in the future where I talk more about her and her sister, but that's it for now. So now with my art style done, it's time to move on to Vickers. So I've never really tried other art styles before, so I really struggled with this challenge. One of the first things I noticed about Vickers' art style is the head to body ratio. The heads are usually as wide or wider than the shoulders, and the necks are pretty thin. For some reason, I was having a lot of trouble getting the proportions right, and even in the end, I'm not too sure how happy I am with them, but I think it's close enough at least. I was actually not expecting this art style to be too difficult, mainly because when I was much earlier in my art journey, I took a lot of inspiration off of his art style before I really developed one of my own. I'll show some of my old art from that time on screen right now, and you might be able to see the influence that his art style had on me. It still does influence me, of course. I think that the art style is actually gorgeous and pretty fun, and I love it so much. I think my favorite part about his style is the faces. I really like how expressive and cartoony they are, and I think that in my current art style, there's definitely still some influence from that. Although you can't really see it too well on Mara because she kind of has a more neutral expression most of the time. So another thing that I had trouble with was the hair. Not so much because the hair was actually too difficult, more because I had trouble making it look like Mara's. Her hair is supposed to look pretty unhealthy, she probably doesn't wash it too often, but I think I definitely made it look a lot fluffier and healthier in my drawing, which if I were to try this again, I would probably change. I also found the shading really difficult, but I always find the shading difficult, so that's not a huge deal. In the end, I like it. I think it's alright, but I think the shading is a little but other than that, I think I did a pretty okay job. Unlike the next drawing I made. So this one was really hard. Lavendertowne's art style is so beautiful and fun and pretty, and I do not think I translated that well at all. It was also difficult because Lavendertowne has multiple art styles, and I never really settled on one. I kind of just decided to try to do all of them at once, which was not a very good idea. I did like a weird mix of these two styles and it ended up looking really weird. I should have just picked one. Anyway, Lavendertowne as an artist has actually had a lot of impact on me. I've been watching her videos for quite a few years and I usually watch her in the background whenever I'm drawing. I really like her videos, especially the ones where she makes like inanimate objects into people. For example, her If Historical Executions Were People video was really fun. Her videos are always really interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to try to replicate her art style. I think I kind of failed though. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever drawn, but I don't think that it looks much like Lavendertowne's art style. I forgot to do the pupil thing that Lavendertowne usually does with her art style, where the pupil is replaced with some sort of object like a heart or ghost. I think I was going to do that, but at some point I just kind of forgot about it. So if I were to do this again, I would definitely make some changes, mainly in the face and the shading, but here it is in all of its glory. Tell me what you think in the comments, or don't. Your choice. So I was expecting this one to be difficult, but it kind of wasn't actually. At least in the sketch and line art phase, I think I did pretty good. It definitely took the shortest amount of time compared to the other drawings, and I'm not exactly sure why, but if I had to guess, it might be that the proportions that Nirami uses are a bit more simple than the others, if that makes any sense at all. They're also the most similar to the ones I use, I think, so I didn't have to just stare at references for like 10 to 20 minutes straight like I did with the other ones. Now, what's different about Nirami is that I actually haven't been watching her for very long, so I've been talking all about the impact and influence that Vickers and Lavendertowne has had on me, but I don't really have too much to say in that aspect about Nirami because I haven't been watching her for very long. However, I still really wanted to include her in this video because I think that her art style is absolutely fabulous and I really wanted to try it out. And I'm glad I did because I think I did the best job at this one. Although there is one aspect of this drawing that I didn't like, and that is the face. Not that I think it looks bad, because I actually think it looks great, but it doesn't look like Mara. It looks like she's smiling, and that's not exactly in character for Mara, because she's just a depressed little guy who burned her own house to the ground because she got cheated on, and she had to get her sister to bribe the judge, and that story is not translating. She looks like she has a loving family who taught her how to ride a bike as a child and who packed her homemade lunches to go to school every day. And that is not acceptable for one of my OCs. Anyway, other than that, I think I did all right. I think that even though her face doesn't exactly convey her personality, it still looks good. And most importantly, I think it actually looks a little bit like Nirami's art style. I think the only other part I wish I could change is the hair, because I did the same thing I did in the Vickers drawing where I made her hair look way too healthy, but other than that, I think I did a pretty good job. So that was me drawing in the different art styles of 3 different artists. I think that if I had to rank them in accuracy, it would go Nirami, Vickers, and then Lavendertowne. I had a lot of fun doing this challenge, and I think I learned a lot. I also think that this is a challenge that I want to try again sometime in the future, because I've never really tried drawing in other art styles before this, so I had a lot of difficulties. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for watching.